And hello, Savannah. Thank you for tuning into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. You are listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with global soul. And welcome to this beautiful Wednesday afternoon. It's gorgeous out there, a little bit chilly for us Savannahans, but it's very nice. I rode my bicycle here this morning, and it was nice. Very, very nice. So if you have the time to go outside today, get a breath of fresh air, today is the day to do that. And thank you for tuning in. This show is all about real estate and real estate investing, and for landlords, people that are in the mortgage industry, regular homeowners and tenants, for just everybody and anybody that has anything to do with real estate. And that, by the way, includes just about everybody, by the way. And we're going to answer some questions on today's show from my YouTube channel. I have a very large following. Well, not very large, I should say 13,000. So that's, I'm happy about this. It's large for me. Following on YouTube, you can check out my channel if you want to for more information. It's just my name, Julia M. Spencer. I'm also a local real estate investor and Airbnb host and vacation rental host here in this beautiful city of Savannah. And I get a lot of questions on my YouTube channel. In the last couple shows, we talked about a couple of the adventures that I've done in the last couple months. Spent about a month, actually closer to 5.5 weeks in Mexico. Prior to that, I was in Europe. And yes, during COVID times, I didn't have another choice. There was some business I had to attend to. And we were sharing some information about real estate in Mexico, as well as our adventures there. I went with my business partner for part of the time, the rest of the time with my mom and with some of my kids. Anyways, all of my kids. There's only 2. And we spent gorgeous time in Mexico at this time of the year. Of course, it's beautiful there. And of course, I got to check out some of the real estate there, made some new connections, and was signed up for a Mega Momentum Challenge. There's a lot of people out there in Mexico right now kind of hiding out from the cold, from Canada, from the northern states of the United States, that are just keeping warm down there, that are fuzzy bunny slipper workers, as I call them, people that work from home. And they're basically making money with marketing and just working from online and spending some beautiful weeks out there in the sunshine while they're being productive still. So I met some really good, I made some really good connections with real estate professionals in my field and was able to attend or basically chat with and be a guest speaker on one of the challenges that one of my friends is hosting. I talked about that last week. I also put a video about that on my YouTube channel, my social media, as well as my Facebook and linked account and my Twitter, Instagram, and all that. So if you wanted to check out more information about what I do, my speech or my I guess my session was about tax sale foreclosures. That's kind of what I focus on, so you can check that out a little bit more. I'm actually a little bit more interested of how people make money online. As you know, I'm a thrift shopper by heart anyways. I like to get the good deals, and I try to find ways of how to make your life easier. Real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth and work less, and basically work smarter and not harder, and that's what I focus on. But real estate is not the only way to do that. There's all kinds of other methods of how to make money, and I focus on all of them. So we're going to talk about those a little bit today and what has perspired from this participation in this Mega Momentum Challenge that I was guest speaker of. And in my show, what we usually do, we talk a little bit. We have a couple of segments, usually about 3 to 4, depending on how much I have to say. And we interrupt that with music from my playlists at this time. And that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to play you a beautiful song. It's not yet time for this yet, but the song is called Happy Hour. And it is by Weezer. And I'll be right back after that. So stay on. Don't go anywhere. And thank you for sticking with me here for Real Estate Real Talk. That was Weezer with Happy Hour. We'll get that here soon, hopefully. And on today's show, we're going to talk a little bit about my Mega Momentum Challenge participation. My friend Dustin Pritchard has this challenge going on. I was a little bit perplexed yesterday. I actually called him or texted him rather. I wanted to talk to him because I wanted to figure out how he makes money with these events online, because that was really my biggest interest yesterday. And I realized that marketing, of course, was a big part of this, and he's been preparing for this for a long time. What he's doing is he's basically finding other speakers like myself, guest speakers that have some sort of area of expertise, that he's then engaging and recording maybe like a little workshop of half an hour to 45 minutes on with his friend, his business partner that's doing this work with him. And they basically do this over Zoom or some sort of other recording software and record these sessions and then put this package together basically that anybody can sign up for free to participate and just to learn. Unfortunately, and fortunately for him, I guess, is that in half an hour to 45 minutes, there's really not a whole lot that you can learn about any one topic other than basically touching on it. This is what it is. In my case, it was tax sale foreclosure, so I basically just explained what it is, kind of a little bit the difference between liens, deeds, and tax lien certificates, and some of the watch outs and basically pitfalls and some of the things that you need to watch out for, as well as some of the profits that can be made with that particular strategy of investing. And that's pretty much all I talked about, and gave some examples and in a slideshow and things like that. And so I guess he's accumulating about 30 guest speakers or so that are recording these sessions, and you can sign up for free for that and just listen to it. But how he makes money with this is basically on an increasing scale of difficulty or information, basically, that you're going from A, B, C levels or something, and you're basically getting more and more information if you sign up to upgrade, and you get more prices, and you get maybe some breakout sessions and things like that. It's basically the classic approach of knowledge marketing. And he did a very fancy job. He basically set up a beautiful website, gorgeous. I'm not very good at websites at all. I really, really have to admit the only one thing that I'm really, really good at is how to make money with real estate and talking on the radio, of course, talking your ear off, as we see. But I'm really good with investing in real estate and understanding how to make money, not just with this business, but others as well. But I'm not very good at marketing. That's one of the classes, or many classes, I guess, in my business education. I really didn't pay that much attention. It was kind of not interesting to me, kind of boring to me. And that is, of course, my pitfall, because branding and marketing are very, very important. And if you have that down, then, it's kind of like a sliding scale. If your product is really good, you will sell it, no matter what your marketing is. But if your marketing is really good and your product's not so good, you're still going to sell your product. But if both of them are really good, a really, really solid, good product, be it education, software, audiobooks, courses, classes, whatever it is that you're selling, and your marketing is really good, then that's how you're going to make the most amount of money. So what I realized yesterday, and I was a little bit bummed, and in fact, I got a little bit sad, is when I saw what he did with this program that he is offering to people. I kind of got bummed because, he definitely has the marketing side down. I don't know about the product because I've not listened to any of the sessions. I can only speak for the one that I recorded as a guest speaker. But the marketing was amazing. The website was very, very awesome. And of course, as soon as you sign up, you get text messages to your phone if you give your real phone number, of course, which I did. And reminders and little nudges. Hey, you want to purchase this upgrade. You want to buy a little bit more here. You want to, if you want actionable advice on anything, you're going to have to pay more. There's nothing in the world for free. This is what I realized. And you can't actually offer people everything that you have to offer them for free or for very cheap, because you're not going to make any money, because people already have what they want and they won't want to buy anything else from you. So here's your marketing 101. I know some of you guys are listening out there, probably SCAD students or so, that are in the marketing field, are probably like curling your hairs right now. This imbecile is teaching people on the radio how to do marketing. Of course, I have no clue about marketing at all. So your criticism is completely warranted today. And so here we are, me sitting yesterday bummed at one of my Airbnb sorting items that I brought from other houses. I don't know what it was, the towels and stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, I just realized that in all my years of working, 5 or 6 years now, marketing my knowledge online, I really don't know anything about marketing. So we're starting from scratch. I got to stop everything I'm doing, redo my website. I got to redo my distribution channels on YouTube, on all the social media, my email list and everything else. So yeah, I'm basically starting from scratch. So yesterday was a little bit bummer of a day. I wanted to share that with you. I am not discouraged whatsoever. As you know, if you're listening to my show, the one thing that you will always find me do is be chipper and happy and excited and engaging. So I'm diving right into it. I know I'm going to make 75% of, or 80 or 90% of what I do is a mistake, but the 10% that actually work out, they work out pretty good. So yeah, and this is life. You go in through it full force, and as long as you participate, life will participate with you. That's kind of my philosophy in any case. So, and we already had the happy hour song, so it's good to go. So that's a little bit the review. I will be able to share a little bit more about this challenge. It goes on all this month. Of course, you can check it out. I'm not gonna endorse it or anything like that, and it's free. It's megamomentumchallenge.com. That's my my friend Dustin Pritchard is holding this event. I'm not getting any kickbacks or anything. If you wanted to check it out, it's free. My YouTube channel, of course, is just my name, Julia M. Spencer. You can check that out for free too. I have about 800 videos now, I think. It's quite a few, and I have so many more I need to post that I haven't even gotten to yet. So stay tuned for that if you want to hear more about me and what I do and some of the other things that we're getting into. We have another at least 2 segments for this show here today. I wanted to tell you a little bit about our window experience because we're doing some remodeling right now. So that's another whole story. My business partner, Daniel, isn't here in the studio today, but I'm sure he's listening from wherever he is in the car. Hi, Daniel. His shout out. And I'm going to share a little bit about our windows. I'm so happy with my new windows, one of my houses. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And we'll do that right after another break song. So stay on, don't go anywhere. Ride or Die, featuring Foster the People by the Knocks. Love that song. The Knocks actually came to Savannah a couple years ago. I don't know if you all were at that concert. It was at one of the Savannah Stopover Music Festivals prior to COVID. I think maybe like 6 or 7 years ago. They're amazing. Anyway, I love that band. Thanks for tuning back into Real Estate Real Talk. Today we're talking about this and that, a little bit of a smorgasbord of different things. And we are answering some questions here towards the later part of the show. And one of the first questions I will be answering after the break has to do with depreciation, a little bit of a informational session for a few minutes on depreciation, so please don't fall asleep on me. It's a little bit of a tax question. But before we get to that, and before we get to the announcements for the bottom of the hour, I want to talk to you a few minutes about my new windows. Yay! So some people get excited about jewelry and new clothes and vacations. I get excited about windows. I have a house down there on 37th Street. It's a little bit older. I think it was built in 1945. And I do believe the windows are from that era of time as well. But needless to say, as of today, the windows are gone, the old ones. I have brand new windows, and I'm so happy. It is so quiet in this house, and they look beautiful. You can look outside, and it's also very, very energy efficient. So that was my experience for this week. We had some windows. I was kind of sweating about this for a long time. I've never put new windows in any of my properties, so you can kind of vicariously live through me here with this experience. But we had a couple estimates, actually. A very renowned, and I won't mention the name, window company in the local area gave me an estimate for, and I will tell you the amounts that we actually did pay eventually. There was, I believe, 14 windows in this house, and our estimate was given of about $13,000 initially on these windows from this company, which shall be unnamed on the show. And this is why I haven't done the windows for a long time. That's a lot of money. I didn't pay that much for this house even, and I needed windows. And my thought was always like, oh, maybe I'll replace one or two or one or three, but it's just going to be a mess. Everything's going to be dirty, and I have my stuff in there, and it never materialized. Until, of course, my business partner took this project in his hands, and now we have brand new windows. I love it. But we didn't pay $13,000. We actually went to one of the local home supply stores, one of the big ones. There's only two. Obviously, I'm not going to say which one again, but we paid about $8,000 for 14 windows, I believe it was. Let me count them, about 14. And it was a very quick process. 2 days, old windows out, new windows in, seals and everything put in, and they're gorgeous. They slide open, close very nicely. They have the little bug screen, so you can basically just open them. And it's a little shotgun style house, so basically you can open all the windows, and airflow is very, very good when everything's open because just the way the layout is of the house. And we're going to really, really enjoy these windows. I wanted to mention this to you. The contractor that actually came to work, he was, as every contractor is, they kind of show up whenever they want to. They give you like an approximate time, but the time that they're supposed to show up is not always the time that they show up because other things happen in the contractor's life that are more pressing usually. if you know what I mean. But in this case, the guy was very nice. He put the windows in. We love the windows. And he actually mentioned to us that he's not very happy working for this big home supply company. So he's going to do his own thing after he quits with them, after he finishes his jobs with them. And I believe, and anyways, I need to check up on that, but I believe on the labor, he can give us actually a better price. So this is a little bit something that you can maybe take away. As you know, I'm a thrift shopper. So if you didn't want to spend the whole $8,000 on 13 or 14 windows or however many windows you have at your home, you can just hire one of those home supply companies who will then send a contractor to do the job once they sell you the materials, of course, and have them put in maybe one or two windows. And then while that person is doing this work on your home, kind of talk to this contractor and see if they can negotiate a better price for you doing this work outside the home supply companies or the home supply stores tutelage, basically, and have this work do this on their own. And now that I'm mentioning this story, and before I get to the announcements here, this actually happened to me once before on a house that I owned down in Warner Robins, Georgia. And same exact thing. I had a contractor that came in that was supposed to replace the wiring in the home that I owned down there back in the day, about 15, 20 years ago. And the wiring would have cost me also, I don't know, maybe about $10,000 for the whole entire house. It was a very big house. And the contractors that were given the estimates, once their bosses were stepped aside, they're like, here's my card, here's my card, I can do this job cheaper for you. And of course, you got to work when you do with anything with electrical or plumbing or windows or roofs and stuff. You, of course, got to make sure that the work is inspected, that you know what you're hiring, because, if something goes wrong, you might have to fix the situation somehow. And of course, you also got to make sure that it is certified and inspected by an inspector if that's necessary for that particular type of job. So you need to inform yourself online, but sometimes informing yourself online and learning how to do these contracting jobs on your own can save you a lot of money. And that is my little advice here for you today. Get educated and read up on it and ask questions and see if you can figure out some way to do your home improvement projects a little bit cheaper than what is advertised. So that brings us to the bottom of the hour here. I'm going to play a couple of announcements and I'll be right back after that. And we're going to answer some questions from my YouTube channel. So please stay on. Don't go anywhere.
The Live Oak Public Library System offers local residents access to hundreds of thousands of movies, television programs, albums, audiobooks, ebooks, and digital comic books for free on your streaming television and mobile devices through the Hoopla app. Supported devices include Roku, Fire, Apple TV, iPhone, and Android, among others. The selection is vast. All you'll need is your library card. Find the Hoopla app on your device and more information at liveoakpl.org.
What does it mean when we say that WRUU is a community radio station? It doesn't just mean that we invite the community to create programming. And it doesn't just mean that we are a voice for the community. It also means that we are counting on the community to keep us going. And you are the community. Almost all of our modest budget comes from small annual or monthly donations from listeners like you. You get to enjoy our community-focused programming because many others have stepped forward to do their part. Now do your part by joining our community of listener donors. Go to wruu.org right now and make a one-time or monthly donation. And thank you for supporting Savannah's community radio station, 107.5 FM.
We all know that these are trying times for all of us, but there are quite a few of our friends and neighbors who have been particularly hard hit by the pandemic and business closures. And that's where the United Way of the Coastal Empire has been very helpful, offering support. But they cannot do it alone. The United Way of the Coastal Empire needs your help now more than ever, so they can feed, shelter, and provide other necessities for those who need it the most. If you donate, you will know that every dollar will go to helping your neighbors and their families. More information about the United Way of the Coastal Empire and making a donation can be found at www.uwce.org.
And that was Hypnotized by Purple Disco Machine. Thank you for tuning into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. And today's show, we're talking about this and that, a couple different things, Mexico, windows, and depreciation. I know it doesn't match. Nothing matches today. But I had a couple questions on my YouTube channel, actually, that I do need to answer. This one actually came 2 days ago, and so we're going to talk a little bit about that because people are asking, so I need to answer. So this question is by Superman6009. Posted 2 days ago on my video on depreciation. And it basically says, I have converted my primary residence into a rental in August 2020. Should I use the acquired price when I bought the property in 2014 for $100,000? The building value is $85,000 and the land value is $15,000. That's a great price, by the way. Or should I use current market value minus the land value? Also, since I started renting it out in August 2020, is it only a partial depreciation for the year 2020? Or do I get a full year's depreciation? Thanks. I'll be glad to answer that question. First off, depreciation is one of the greatest things about real estate investing. If you own real estate, that is your hugest, the biggest, the largest non-cash expense that you can deduct on your taxes. That makes your taxable income less, which means you owe less taxes. I explained that in this video. It's actually called Understand Depreciation in Real Estate Investing, and that's on my YouTube channel there. It's one of my older videos, and actually one of my first videos. And it's an amazing video because I kind of break it out a little bit in very, very simple terms that anybody can understand, even with very little tax investing or math skills even. So if you wanted to check that out, it's there for information. But the question, there's a couple of questions here, and actually there's two questions, and I'm going to talk about both of them. So the first question basically says that this person has purchased a home in 2014, has lived in it themselves until last year in August, and then converted it into a rental. Of course, you can't depreciate real estate that you live in, only rental real estate. And the way the tax code reads in the United States is basically that you can deduct the price of the property if it's the actual purchase price or the fair market value, whichever one is lower. Usually, though, when properties go up in value over time, they increase in value over time. So you would still take the actual price that you paid for it minus the land cost. Of course, the land cannot be depreciated. Land doesn't go away. It just, even maybe there is some instances where there might be a landslide or something, but land is not depreciated in the tax code. So whenever you have a property that has a land value, real estate that's improved real estate, that basically there's a land value and there's an improvement value, and both of those things are usually listed on your tax assessor's form as separate things. They're then added together, and that's how your taxes are assessed. So that's how you know what your actual land value is versus your improvement value. And the way I calculate what the land value is versus the actual improvement cost, sometimes it's not the same. So you do like a proportion. So 85, if it's a property that's $100,000 worth $100,000, and the improvement value is $85,000, and the land value is 15, so that's an easy calculation. It's 85% of the property's value is the improvement, 15% is the land. And if you're using a different price than $100,000, just use that 85 and 15% breakout. So I know I'm probably putting you to sleep right now, but stay with me here. So the question was, should I use the acquired price, the purchase price, when I bought the property, or should I use the current market value minus the land value on both, of course? And the IRS answer to that is you use whichever one is lower. That's just the way the IRS reads. Somebody asked me on my YouTube channel too, should they use the assessed value, which is yet a third value. So you have the purchase price, the assessed value, and the fair market value, those three things. But you basically are throwing away the assessed value because that's not calculated in the assessment of depreciation. You use the purchase price or the fair market value, whichever one is lower. So that brings us to a really big disadvantage of investing in tax sale foreclosures, because the purchase price is usually way lower than the fair market value. And so in that case, you get very little depreciation on properties that you purchase at a tax sale foreclosure. There's other ways to get around that. A couple of tricks and tips of the trade where you basically sell the property maybe to another investor who sells it back to you and things like that. We won't get into that. Some of that stuff is kind of in the murky waters of tax filing and how to invest, basically. And I don't do these things, but that's what I've heard. And so that's the answer to the first question. You use whichever one is the lower of the two, fair market value or the purchase price. Now, the second question on this comment is basically, since I started renting this property out in August of 2020, is it only a partial depreciation for the year 2020, or do I get a full year's depreciation? So in this case, it would be a partial for that year, 2020. And if you use tax software, like TurboTax is what I use, I think there's a couple other ones out there, they will actually ask you just the question, when did you purchase it? What price did you purchase it? What's the fair market value? Things like that. And the calculation, when you converted it, the calculation will happen automatically. So you put in when was the property converted from personal use to a rental. You put that date in. And of course, the software will then calculate the portion of the depreciation that you can claim for that particular year automatically into the software. So you don't need to do that by hand. Now, some of you out there are actually still filing your tax returns by hand with forms and calculations that you do yourself. In that case, of course, it's also very simple. Just use 365 days for the year and divide the depreciation for the whole year by 365, and then count the days that it was actually a rental and multiply that by that. And then that's your depreciation value for that particular year. It's pretty straightforward. It's not very hard. That should probably answer this question for Superman 6009. We got a couple more questions, so we're going to get to those in just a moment as well. I hope you are having a great time here. We're listening to Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. You're listening to WRUULP, Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings, community radio with Global Soul, and I will play you, one more song, and then answer one more question, and that's going to almost get us to the top of the hour here. By the way, if you're interested to see what comes after, or to hear what comes after this show, we have a really cool show called Mother Bead, comes right after me, hosted by Ben, with music with African roots and from Africa. So if you want to stay on for that, that's pretty cool. Check that out. I'll be right back after the song. Stay on. Don't go anywhere. That was Bad Bunny, A Tu Merst, one of my Mexico playlist songs here. Still in Mexico halfway. Anyways, thank you for tuning into Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer. I'm glad you're still here. Let's answer one more question before the top of the hour. This one is by Felix Delgado. And he is asking, can you pay back taxes and take a property from someone? 5 years back taxes is about $20,000. The house value is $64,000. I've been told that I can pay the taxes and take someone's house because they haven't paid their taxes. Plus, the house is vacant. I have tried multiple times to get a hold of the homeowner, but they probably think I'm a collector. I'm unable to purchase the home from them because they simply walked away. Any advice? Well, this has happened to me not just once, I would say. So, first off, the first answer to the first question here, can you pay back taxes and take a property from someone? You can, but it's not as simple as Felix here seems to imply. You can't just go to the tax assessors and see, oh, this person hasn't paid, let's pay this one, now their house is mine. It doesn't work that way. There is a legal process and procedures and rules that you have to follow. In the state of Georgia, right here where we live, the property has to be sold at a tax for sale foreclosure auction. This has to be set up by the tax commissioner, and you have to go to the auction, and there has to be other bidders, and it has to be advertised for 4 weeks in the legal news organ of the county. In our case here, it's Savannah Morning News, and there is only one legal paper for every county in the United States. By the way, there's about 169, I believe, counties in Georgia, so you need to inform yourself which paper is the paper that is responsible for your county, and there's only one. And the property has to be properly advertised. The owner has to be properly notified. The property owner has a lot of leeway in terms of delaying the auction too. If they have some sort of issues, they can make an appeal to the tax commissioners or tax commissioner that holds the auction. Sometimes it's the tax assessor, tax commissioner's office put together. They're sometimes the same office. And it has to go through a legal process, basically, in the state of Georgia. You can't just go and purchase a property by paying somebody else's taxes. Now, that taken back, there are states and there are counties where this is possible. And these are called so-called over-the-counter tax sales. Our neighbor here to the north, South Carolina, they have over-the-counter tax sales. I could go to any county right now in South Carolina and request their over-the-counter property list or their real estate owned list. And a lot of times it's split up by land and improved real estate. You can get those lists. You can see what is owed. You can pay that price, and you will get a lien. And then the original property owner has a certain amount of time to pay back that amount that you paid plus an interest rate, and to redeem the property to get it back into their possession. And by the way, possession, I say that in terms of possession of the lien, not possession of the property. Another legal distinction there, that getting ownership of the property and actually occupying it or renting it, that's a whole nother process where you have to go through specific eviction procedures, and there's another process for that. So there's a very specific legal steps that you have to take to get a property from somebody that didn't pay their taxes. It's not just quite as easy. Georgia is very protective of ownership rights, more so than other states, I would say. And you can't just go and buy a property over the counter. Now, if a property has already sat, and this is a little caveat, if a property has already sat on this list of properties that where the taxes were unpaid, the property has gone through an auction, nobody purchased it, it's basically some sort of land bank fund. We have those here in Georgia as well. If that property has been sitting there for a while, in some states, those properties can be purchased right away without a redemption period because they've been sitting there for the redemption period amount of time. In other cases, there is still a waiting time. So what I'm trying to say here with all of this, and how is that even important to you if you're listening to this as an investor? The point is that there is different rules and laws and regulations for every particular state and every particular county, and every jurisdiction has little sub-rules and sub-decisions that they've made according to how they handle properties that aren't paid up on their taxes and how they're being sold to investors. And if you want to get into this in your particular area, you definitely, most certainly, positively, 100%ly need to get educated of how it is specifically done in your area. And I can tell you from experience, sometimes it's very difficult to get that information from the county officials, city officials. Sometimes it's very easy. People are sometimes helpful and not, that's just kind of humanity. But if you stick with it and you're determined and you like being on the phone and making lots of phone calls, you can find out the information that you need fairly quickly. So this is what I want to say to this person here that asked me this question is, inform yourself in your state, in your area, and I'm not really sure where this question came from what state. Inform yourself if over-the-counter sales are a possibility in your area. But if the property is not on that list and it's not on some sort of auction, you can't just purchase the taxes and own the property. That's just not possible. You can't do that. What you can do, you can make an appeal to have the property be placed on a future auction that is going to be held at some point in time in that particular county and state, and kind of push the process forward a little bit faster. Here in Georgia, we have these so-called in rem auctions, and we sometimes have them here in Chatham County, not very often. But I've been watching a particular sale in Bibb County in the middle of Georgia, there by Macon, Georgia, and they're having these subsequent tax sales, which are basically sales of properties that have sat on the county's books for a long time because they've at some point went through an auction, were not purchased or not paid for, or some were just deserted by their original owners and have just been in no man's land for a long time and have been a blight to the community and to the areas, the neighborhoods. And these properties are then placed on these subsequent tax sale lists. So there are procedures and processes and rules that you need to follow to get properties like this. And it's not as easy as just purchasing somebody's or paying for somebody's outstanding taxes. So, and getting a hold of owners that are missing or absent, that's actually quite common, specifically in areas that are a little bit down-ridden, I guess I should say. A little, if I don't even know how to say that properly, but there are areas of towns, not just here in Savannah, but other towns as well that I've worked in, where people have just lost property values, or maybe they've had a loss of the house, some sort of fire or another disaster where the roof is caved in through a hurricane or something, and people have decided to just take the insurance money and run, and the property just sits there. And it might be a lot of repairs, it might be little repairs, but people are still actively in this country of the United States deserting properties, and I don't see that getting any less with this COVID situation. So now is really the time to get educated, to understand the rules, laws, regulations, procedures, and maybe you can be on the forefront when these properties, they're a blight really to a lot of neighborhoods and communities when they're being sold at auctions for very cheap prices. You might be at the forefront if you educate yourself right now while all of this is still kind of ongoing with the COVID situation. So that is kind of my recommendation to you if you wanted to make use of getting cheap deals on real estate. And that brings me to the end of my show here today, Real Estate Real Talk with Julia M. Spencer, this show where we focus on anything and everything related to real estate investing. This show will be published later on my YouTube channel as well as WRUU. As soon as I can catch up, I have a couple more shows to post actually. And stay on for the next couple shows. We have about 70 volunteer hosts here in this area that are hosting all kinds of talk shows and music shows. So there will be here something for every taste. if you're interested. And with that, I will remain ever yours so truly, Julia M. Spencer. Check out my YouTube channel if you're interested to get more information about what I do. And I hope you all have a great Wednesday afternoon. Bye-bye, everyone. Until next week.
For your free guide to real estate investing, visit juliamspencer.com.